How did Stoicism emerge, decline, and revive? You've probably heard of Stoicism, an ancient philosophical school that profoundly influenced Greek, Roman, and even modern cultures. But do you know the story behind its formation, development, and decline? From a revolutionary idea by the philosopher Zeno, Stoicism quickly captivated intellectuals and Roman rulers alike, only to later fade into obscurity. In this article, we will explore the history of Stoicism's early formation and development, its peak influence during the Roman era, and its eventual decline and disappearance at the end of antiquity. Through this, we will gain a deeper understanding of the profound philosophical legacy Stoicism has left for humanity. The historical formation of Stoicism. The history of Stoicism begins with its emergence around 300 BCE, a philosophical movement that arose in Athens, the cultural epicenter of ancient Greece. It carried advice aimed at achieving happiness and inner peace, goals humanity has long yearned for since ancient times. This was Stoicism, a philosophical school closely associated with the philosopher Zeno of Citium, born in the 4th century BCE in the city of Citium on the island of Cyprus. Zeno was one of the most influential figures in the history of ancient philosophical development. He experienced many ups and downs in his life, from a dreamy childhood to challenging and testing years of adulthood. As he grew up, Zeno embarked on a quest for knowledge in Athens, where he was educated and exposed to the finest aspects of ancient Greek culture and philosophy. Through years of study and research, he absorbed and developed his own ideas about the importance of ethics and compassion in life. One of the most significant periods in Zeno's life was when he founded the Stoic school of philosophy, laying the groundwork for the fundamental principles of patience, compassion, and self-control that later became the core of his philosophy. Not only was Zeno a philosopher, but he was also known as an exceptional teacher, instructing and inspiring generations of philosophers and thinkers who followed. The origin of the name Stoicism comes from the stoipoikil, a covered walkway flanked by columns, a common feature of ancient Greek architecture. This was where Zeno and his followers gathered, not only to discuss, but also to spread their philosophy of ethics and the path to a righteous life. They would often walk along the corridor, engaging in discussions while enjoying the scenery outside, allowing their souls to connect with nature in the most natural way possible. Stoicism was not just a philosophical school, but also a way of life, a moral path that people could follow, guided by fundamental principles of wisdom, compassion, and patience. Zeno's philosophy spread and became a source of inspiration not only for contemporary philosophers, but also for many generations to come. Ideas that inspired Stoicism. The ideals of Stoicism were deeply influenced by Cynicism, another philosophical school that advocated living in harmony with nature, rejecting material possessions and worldly desires, as well as the teachings of the great philosopher Socrates. Cynicism was an ancient Greek philosophical school that emerged in the 4th century BCE. The name cynicism draws from the image of a dog as a metaphor for its ideas. In other words, cynicism advised people to live like dogs. The founder of cynicism was the philosopher Antisthenes, a former disciple of the great sage Socrates. Cynicism advocated abandoning material civilization to return to nature, leading a simple and completely free life. According to this philosophy, people should only possess the bare essentials needed for survival. They should distance themselves from all attachments to material wealth and social status to find their true selves. Cynics believed that happiness could only be achieved when a person was completely independent, self-reliant, and lived in harmony with nature. They scorned wealth, power, and society's hypocritical moral standards. Instead, cynics revered virtue, truth, and reason. Cynicism had a profound influence on the formation of Stoic thought in later years. Additionally, the legacy of the great philosopher Socrates regarding ethical reasoning and self-improvement also became a crucial ideological foundation for Stoicism. Socrates, born in 469 BCE, died in 399 BCE, was one of the greatest philosophers of ancient Greece, often called the father of Western philosophy. His philosophical views left a lasting mark on human civilization and ushered in a new era of intellectual thought. Socrates was the first to explore dialectical methods and dialogical discussions to uncover truth rather than imposing opinions. Socrates urged people to reflect and debate to gain knowledge. One of his favorite methods was wandering around the marketplace, approaching random individuals, and asking them questions. He did not argue or express his own opinions. Instead, he helped his conversation partners discover the truth by answering his questions. Socrates' goal was to encourage people to think more deeply about concepts such as ethics, justice, courage, goodness, and more. He believed that humans must constantly strive to improve their morality and intellect. The great philosophical legacy of Socrates became the ideological foundation for many subsequent philosophical schools, including Stoicism. Socrates sparked a spirit of intellectual independence and self-mastery, helping to shape the core values of Stoicism as a synthesis of his ideas and those of cynicism. The core characteristic of Stoicism is its focus on cultivating awareness, virtue, and human self-control. Accordingly, the Stoic school advocated building mental strength, courage, and resilience in the face of life's hardships and challenges. They emphasized the importance of self-improvement to achieve inner balance and tranquility. Additionally, Stoics placed great importance on fostering wisdom, courage, justice, and moderation. They believed that the path to true happiness does not come from material wealth, fame, or pleasure, but from living ethically and in alignment with one's conscience. Through the cultivation of virtue and efforts towards self-improvement, Stoics believed they could reach the pinnacle of their potential and become the best version of themselves. Stoicism in the Golden Age of Rome. After its birth in Greece, Stoicism continued to spread and became extremely popular during the Roman Empire. Many Roman officials, philosophers, and emperors, such as Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, were ardent supporters of Stoic thought. Lucius Annaeus Seneca, born around 4 BCE and died around 65 CE, a renowned Roman philosopher, used Stoic principles to guide his life and work as an advisor to Roman emperors. He argued that wisdom was the prerequisite for happiness and that people must rely on reason, not emotions, to make decisions. Epictetus, born around 55 CE and died in 135 CE, originally a slave, became a prominent Stoic philosopher after gaining his freedom. He taught that people should not base their happiness on things beyond their control, but should instead focus on cultivating virtue and using reason to manage emotions. Marcus Aurelius, born in 121 CE, died in 180 CE. The philosopher-emperor left behind his work Meditations, a collection of Stoic teachings he recorded throughout his life. Marcus Aurelius emphasized that each individual must improve themselves to contribute positively to society. They viewed Stoicism as a guiding light amid the countless difficulties and challenges they and the empire faced. At the same time, the strong support of the Roman elite demonstrated the vitality and immense practical value of Stoicism, transcending all cultural boundaries. The decline of ancient Stoicism. Stoicism was one of the most influential philosophical schools in the Roman Empire until around the 3rd century CE. So why did such a once thriving philosophy later fade into obscurity? There are 4 main reasons for the decline of Stoicism after its golden age. First, the rise of Christianity and new philosophical schools. Christianity began to emerge in the Roman Empire in the 1st century CE and gradually attracted many followers. Unlike Stoicism, Christianity emphasized love, forgiveness, and hope rather than intellect and willpower. They also disapproved of the Stoic practice of strictly suppressing all emotions. For example, in his work City of God, St. Augustine harshly criticized the Stoic stance that humans could achieve happiness through reason alone. Instead, he argued that true happiness could only be found through faith in Christianity. This is somewhat ironic, as Augustine's early ideas were heavily influenced by Stoicism. Criticism from Christian theologians weakened the credibility of Stoicism. At the same time, the widespread dissemination of Christianity also diminished Stoicism's influence in religious and philosophical spheres. Alongside Christianity, the emergence of new philosophical schools also contributed to Stoicism's decline. Most notable were Neoplatonism and skepticism. Although these schools were not entirely opposed to Stoicism, and even shared some viewpoints, Neoplatonist philosophers like Plotinus criticized the Stoic belief that the material world was the only reality. They believed that the world of ideas was the true reality, while the material world was merely its shadow. Meanwhile, skeptics like Sextus Empiricus also harshly criticized Stoic arguments and reasoning methods, claiming that human knowledge and senses are limited, making it impossible to grasp absolute truth. Criticism from these new philosophical schools shook the theoretical foundations of Stoicism and gradually diminished its standing. Second, changes in social structure. As the Roman Empire expanded, becoming wealthier and more prosperous, the upper class and artisans grew, forming a new middle class. Unlike the aristocracy, the middle class prioritized enjoying life over adhering to Stoic ethics. They no longer supported the simple lifestyle and spirit of enduring hardship championed by Stoicism. Instead, they were drawn to a culture of worldly pleasures. This shift in societal values weakened Stoicism's appeal. Third, the fall of the Roman Empire. The final factor marking the end of Stoicism was the collapse of the Roman Empire in the 5th century. With the empire's fall, Stoic academies lost patronage, and the works of Stoic philosophers were no longer widely copied or circulated. Today, most Stoic texts written before the time of Roman philosophers have been completely lost to history. Stoicism gradually disappeared alongside the Roman civilization it was once deeply rooted in. By the 7th century, Stoic philosophy had entirely collapsed. Thus, it can be seen that the decline of Stoicism was an inevitable result of changes in religion, philosophy, society, and politics in antiquity. Nevertheless, the core values of Stoicism continue to influence Western culture to this day. Comparison with Epicureanism. When discussing Stoicism, it is impossible not to mention Epicureanism, a philosophical school often considered its polar opposite. Founded by the Greek philosopher Epicurus, born in 341 BCE, died in 270 BCE, Epicureanism holds that pleasure and happiness are the goals of life, and that individuals should seek comfort and avoid unnecessary suffering. While Stoicism emphasizes patience and ethics, Epicureanism focuses on personal joy and happiness. Following the method of Socrates, let us analyze the similarities and contrasts between these two philosophies to gain a deeper understanding of Stoicism. First, the differences. Epicureanism teaches that the purpose of life is to achieve happiness by moderately satisfying natural human desires. Epicureans value eating, tranquility, good health, and spending time with friends and family. In contrast, Stoicism holds that true happiness does not come from satisfying emotions, but from cultivating virtue and living in accordance with reason. They emphasize controlling desires and developing inner mental strength. Regarding their worldview, Epicureans reject the uncertainty of life. They believe the universe has no fixed laws, and happiness and pleasure are within human reach. Stoics, on the other hand, believe in the existence of an unchanging cosmic order, which, if followed, leads to joy and happiness. Next, the similarities. Despite their differences in worldview and core ideas, both philosophies distinguish clearly between fleeting pleasures and lasting happiness. Both teach us to resist excessive materialism and emphasize the importance of cultivating virtue and inner balance. Thus, despite their different approaches, both schools offer profound insights into the diverse nature of humanity and the complexity of seeking happiness. Their differences highlight the multidimensional nature of ancient Greek philosophy. Through this, we can learn valuable lessons from both perspectives to build a meaningful life, balancing intellect and emotions. After all, the path to happiness is unique and varied for each person, with no universal formula that can be imposed on everyone. Stoicism in modern times. After more than 1,000 years of obscurity, Stoicism began to experience a revival in the 20th century, particularly after World War I and the Great Depression. According to historian Carl Lotus, amid the turbulence of the 20th century, many Western philosophers and intellectuals began to rediscover Stoicism. They believed that Stoic philosophy could provide a solid ethical foundation in a chaotic era. Stoicism teaches people how to face difficulties and challenges courageously and to avoid dependence on things beyond their control. The works of Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius have been translated into many languages and have become widely popular. Numerous modern books explaining and applying Stoic philosophy have also emerged, such as A Guide to the Good Life by William Irvine and How to Think Like a Roman Emperor by Donald Robertson. Today, amid a materialistic lifestyle, consumerism, and societal instability, Stoicism is being rediscovered and applied by many as a tool to manage emotions, cope with stress, and handle pressure. The community of Stoicism enthusiasts continues to grow, particularly among entrepreneurs, athletes, and soldiers. They apply Stoic philosophy to build mental strength, control emotions, and live purposefully in a chaotic world. The strong resurgence of Stoicism demonstrates its enduring value across all eras. Techniques such as meditation, journaling, and reflection help us build mental resilience, direct our thoughts, and respond to events. This helps protect mental health and maintain calmness and clarity in facing difficulties. Moreover, self-control is increasingly important in a modern society full of temptations and distractions. Self-discipline skills such as time management, goal setting, patience, and resisting temptation help us avoid being swept up in the whirlwind of work and unhealthy entertainment. This, in turn, allows us to devote more time to what truly matters. Furthermore, patience, tolerance, and a sense of community are also values championed by Stoicism. Today, these humanistic values continue to serve as the foundation for many meaningful social movements, such as environmental protection, education for impoverished children, LGBT rights, and various charitable activities. These efforts embody the spirit of compassion and community responsibility that Stoicism once advocated. Thus, it can be seen that, despite thousands of years of history, the core values of Stoicism continue to live on with humanity. The teachings of Stoicism help us overcome invisible fears in the modern world, slow down, and focus on what truly matters. Hopefully, through this, readers will gain a deeper understanding of this immensely valuable philosophical system and apply it to their lives to become the best version of themselves. If you enjoyed this article, please like and share to support us. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and the bell icon to stay updated on our future videos. Thank you for listening.